Hello and welcome to episode 6 of No Time to Cry. We're your hosts. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Laura.
And today's episode, if you haven't realised, is all about Christmas. So we're putting this out earlier in December on the basis that we're just aware that Christmas can be a really difficult time for people, aren't we? And rather than doing this episode as close to Christmas Day as possible, we thought it would be more useful to people to put it out early, sort of first week in December. And see what you all think. And hopefully, there's some really helpful points in here that might help you through the festive period. This is going to be a shorter episode because we're going to do one about celebrations in general straight after. So we're going to split it into two, doing one specific for Christmas, but then one about sort of birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, your own birthday, everything really, aren't we?
Yeah, all the key sort of celebrations and milestones that come after you've lost your loved one. And equally, I suppose it might make sense for us to talk about what the firsts were like. And then, of course, now we're moving into the seconds as well.
Yeah, seconds and thirds, aren't we? So yeah, well, what we'll do is we'll dedicate this one to Christmas, and then the week after there'll be one just about general celebrations. But for me, this is my second Christmas without Dad, and Laura, this will be your third because obviously Mum passed away in the September, didn't she? So yeah, I think let's talk about. Well, really, I would say that last year was your first proper Christmas without Mum because you were still so early on in your grieving period after Mum died, 2 years ago. Actually, there was never, I doubt you even remember what Christmas was really like.
No, I think because it was so close to Christmas, like you say, it was a bit of a non-event for me. And I know it sounds a bit sad, but it's true, obviously. Like when you've lost somebody so close to such a well, the festivities of Christmas obviously can be a really nice and a really lovely thing, but when you've lost somebody, then it's intensified just how sad you are that they're not there and that you're missing them and that you wish they were there, and the reality sort of starts to hit that they're gone. And I think especially from my perspective with mum was the person who kind of got everybody together at Christmas and did all the big party on a Boxing Day. Gosh, if you ever went to one of Helen's do's on Boxing Day, you never forgot them. And she used to do a massive feast for us, obviously on Christmas Day. And we also always used to go for a curry and for drinks on Christmas Eve. So she was a massive part of everything, really. So yeah, the very first Christmas, it was kind of wasn't super enjoyable, but we tried to enjoy it as much as we could, given that obviously I had a 5-6 month old at the time, so you kind of want to make it magical for the kids, but equally it's tricky, and anybody else who's in that position right now, it's totally normal to feel that way too. It's tough.
And I think, like you say, Laura, it's one of those where the first year is probably the hardest because I know this year we're both trying to do Christmas a little bit differently, and we'll talk about that. We'll go into maybe what we're trying to do this year that is helping us get more into the spirit, because even if you go to last year, Law, which let's say that was your first proper Christmas after the initial shock of losing somebody as passed. And obviously Dad passed away in Jan, so it was nearly 12 months by the time I reached Christmas, and actually it was awful. I really struggled at Christmas time last year, and if anybody knows me, I am Christmas. Like I my house is top to bottom decked in decorations. Every single surface has something Christmas related on. And that's literally
Everywhere.
And I am just such a big advocate for Christmas. I think it's just a magical time of year. It's my favorite time of year usually. And I think even a year on, I was so far away from that last year. It came to everybody as a bit of a surprise because, I am one of those that the 1st of December, my tree is up. Like, everything's decked out. I make all my own decorations. I make my own wreaths. I'm like this big
Mrs. Claus,
literally.
basically.
And last year, I planned to go away a few days before Christmas with Paula. We went to Paris, the two of us, and to be honest, that's the best thing I could have done because on the lead up to it, I just couldn't get in the spirit. I just didn't want to do anything Christmas related. I said to Jamie, I don't want any Christmas presents. I don't want to be opening Christmas presents on the day of the event. It's just not for me. I don't want to do it. I'm not in the headspace for it. Um, I didn't put my tree up until like literally a couple of days before I went to Paris. And that was only because I went to get my nails done. And I said to the girl, again, which is so unlike me, the girl who does my nails, I was like, just do what you want. Like,
No,
I
that's not like
literally,
you.
do what you want. I'm like, you can do Christmassy nails, whatever. And she went full out. I had little gingerbread men, I had candy canes, I had everything. And I've just thought, I can't be walking around with the Christmassy nails I've ever had and not have my tree up. So I went home, put my tree up, and just thought, right, it's done now. And I didn't do anything else. I didn't do any of the sort of, I normally decorate all my stairs and everything like that. I thought I'm just going to get the tree up and see how I feel and
Yeah.
go from there. And I think that's normal. If anybody is approaching their first or maybe second Christmas without, someone that you love, those feelings of not wanting to particularly celebrate are completely normal, and we don't want you to feel bad about that.
No, and I think equally this time of year, Christmas is a time of year where I think you kind of feel a bit guilty as well that your loved one's missing out, don't you,
Yeah.
on the festivities? And there is always that place at the table where you feel like obviously they should be sat there, and that's really heartbreaking in itself. But equally, you've got to try and think, or certainly this is how I've kind of got through the last two Christmases. What would mum be wanting me to do? What would your loved one be wanting you to do? And they absolutely wouldn't want you to be sad, and not enjoying it, and it's easier said than done. Obviously, Shannon and I completely get that. But equally, if you're feeling in a position where you really don't want to celebrate it, don't force yourself
No.
either. Just take it at your own pace. For the first Christmas, like I say, for me, I kind of just didn't really want to celebrate it because I felt like it was wrong to celebrate without mum being here. But
Yeah.
then in the back of my head, I know she'd be saying to me, "Come on, you daft sod, get your tree up, and get some festive decorations out. The wine billings that you've now seen, the infamous wine billings she used to have Rudolph ears on and everything at Christmas. Mum
Yeah,
went
she
full
loved it,
out.
didn't she?
She had a Christmas tree on a dashboard and everything. That woman adored Christmas. And I just think now, where my head's at sort of this year is enjoy it double, enjoy it for mum as well,
Yeah.
because she's not here to enjoy it. So you've got to take on that responsibility of having a double whammy basically of enjoying Christmas for her as well. And equally, I've got two little girls this year, so I know what she'd be saying to me. She'd be like, Christmas is about the kids, Law.
Yeah.
Make it special, make it magical for them. And everybody knows, especially for, well, I suppose it's mums and dads, but mums normally make Christmas, don't they? They're the ones that
Yeah.
buy the presents, and the dads sat around the tree and they're like,
No idea.
"Oh,
Yeah. Oh God,
what,
what's that?
what's
What's that
that?"
present?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I'm trying to look at it this time. I'm trying to be the mum that's trying to organise light trails and going to meet Santa, and probably overdoing it actually, in fairness. I think I've overcompensated a little bit because I want to try and have as much fun as I can. But yeah, just take it at your own pace. If you feel like you want to enjoy it and go full hog, do it, go for it.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling quite there yet and you just want to do like Shan's done, put your tree up a few days before, do what feels right to you and sort of try and enjoy it without forcing yourself to go
Just
overboard.
think, take the pressure off. Like
Yeah.
that. I think the worst thing, especially if you've got kids, trying to put that brave face on, and it is really overwhelming. And I just think you have to. I think you mentioned it on, it must have been the first episode, Law, where I think your mum used to say something that said to you, if it's something you don't want to do it sad.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't have to be this mask all the time where you've got to be switched on and it's the big Christmas and yeah, yeah, yeah. If you don't feel like that, you don't feel like that. And forcing yourself to be a certain way will drain you more,
Yeah.
and it makes it harder. The same way, actually, if being the big Christmas spirit makes you feel better, then don't feel guilty for
No, don't feel
enjoying
bad for
it.
it. Don't feel bad for it. Because some people are able to do that. Like Shan said, yes, for many people, the first Christmas is the hardest, but it isn't for everyone.
No.
Sometimes it's a few years in that you think, oh, this is harder. I'd actually say this year has been the hardest for me so far in terms of how much I've missed mum, but it's the first year that I thought, "No, I'm really gonna try and
Yeah.
enjoy and make something of Christmas because I feel ready to," whereas
Yeah.
the last 2 I didn't, and that's okay.
And I'm in a
So,
similar boat because I think if I wanted this year, it's not coming easy to me to enjoy Christmas, but I make it a concerted effort to try. And I think
yeah.
that's the difference, isn't it? Like I last year I wasn't in a headspace where I wanted to try enjoy it, if I'm being honest. I just thought that's so far away from how
Yeah.
I feel that pushing myself to try is not an option. And actually, I had a great time in Paris with Paula last year, and I think that was the best thing I did was just remove myself a little bit from the norm of what I would do around Christmas.
Yeah, do new
New
things. People say
things.
that, don't they? I
Yeah,
think it's try and do some new things for yourself that you can enjoy and sort of make your own traditions. But equally, if your loved ones had specific traditions that you used to enjoy and celebrate together, continue those for them. Like
yeah.
that's something we do for mum every year now. Like I say, we always used to go for curry and drinks on Christmas Eve, and there was a particular pub that she loved. So myself, my husband, our girls, and my brother and sister and their partners, and my mum's partner actually, all go and raise a toast to her.
Lovely.
We just have. She used to. Well, she'd drink anything wet and alcoholic, as I'm sure maybe you've realised if you listen to any other episodes about mum. But yeah, we all make sure we have a drink and we say, Merry Christmas, mum, and that's really special and it's enjoyable. I think maybe last year it was sad, it was hard, and um, we all struggled a little bit with the idea of her not being there, but it's actually a really nice way to honour them and to sort of commemorate them. So
And it's how your mum would love to be celebrated.
she will be somewhere, won't she? She'll be probably drinking bolly out of a bottle with a straw potentially somewhere. But
Or
I think
Christmas hat on.
yeah, absolutely. Sure, and the blooming dangly Christmas earrings as well. You know those ones that nobody ever wants to wear apart from Shan. She used to have Christmas trees. It'd be like down to her shoulder almost. Like, pull my neck, mum.
But that's it. I think we just wanted to do this episode to acknowledge that yes, it is a hard time of year, but it doesn't have to be. The same way it doesn't have to be great. I mean, this year, what I've done to help me is probably do some things that help me get in the spirit. So for me, it's like buying new Christmas decorations and
Yeah,
not brand new ones, but I like the little unique ones, we can buy like individual. So every shop that I've gone in, I've picked, and some of them have only been like 99p or something like that. I've picked up
oh,
a new decoration.
that's so cute.
And and it's just because it helps me feel more Christmassy at a time that can be quite difficult.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, there's some of the little things that I've done. So for you, it's like going somewhere that your mum wanted to go. For me, it's making sure that every time I'm going somewhere, I'm reminding myself that this is like a time of year that I usually enjoy and to try and embrace it. I know some people like to do things like, put a space at the dinner table or have pictures up. For me, I don't find that as helpful personally, but
I
that's
find that
personal preference.
harder, but
Yeah,
that's a
very
personal
true.
thing, isn't it?
Personal
Yeah,
preference, I think. Like, I think for me, Christmas Day last year was quite emotional, um, because actually for all very different reasons, because I think me and Laura have spoke to it a little bit before. The lead up to some of these events actually tends to be a little bit harder than the day themselves.
yeah,
And it's like I suppose, not knowing what the day is going to be like or how you're going to feel, or the anticipation, knowing that they're not going to be there. By the time the day comes, you're so prepared for it because you've been thinking about it for so long that
yeah.
it doesn't feel as hard as you probably thought it would in your head. What I found quite emotional was, I hate that it makes me teary, but I suppose it's an appreciation for the people around me. I had so many messages on Christmas Day where people were basically saying, like, I'm thinking of you. I know this will be hard, like here. And I kept crying because I just said to Jamie, I'm so grateful and I'm so appreciative. And I feel like Christmas is a time of year that you should be thankful and like think about what you've got, and celebrate it. And actually, the friends that I had, and we spoke about it on that network, our net support network episode. I just had like an abundance of just almost happy tears, sad tears, but happy tears at the same time of just like, I can't, this has been the worst year of my life, but God, I love the people around me. And
Yeah,
thank you
yeah.
all so much for, thinking of me on Christmas Day. Um, so yeah, I had like I had a very teary morning.
Happy tears.
Yeah, it was a real mixture because I think there was a little bit of, oh God, I'm sad that my friends are even having to message me this because I'm like, how shit that my dad's dead.
Yeah.
But they were happy tears in that, God, I'm so grateful for the people that I've got in my life. And
Yeah, especially on Christmas Day for people to take time out on a day like that to send you
yeah,
well wishes is such a big thing, isn't it? And
yeah,
it is a time of togetherness though, and that's something that Mum used to say to us all the time. You know, you've got to make time for people that you love and that you care about, and I think when you've lost somebody, that's just highlighted to another level, isn't it?
yeah,
Like nobody ever wants to think this, but I certainly did. And I always say it to well, I say it to you all the time, Sean, don't I? And to my husband as well. I never in a million years thought there would be a day where I wouldn't have mum here, which
yeah,
is bizarre because obviously nobody lives forever, but I don't think it's something that you even really comprehend or factor into life, do you? And that's why now, even though it's hard to think about Christmas again without her, because it was such a big deal for her and because she just loved to cook for everybody and to make sure nobody's glass was empty and decorated the house to the nines. I just think I'm going to do that for you, mum, at mine, and I'm going to make sure that everybody gets together at some point family wise to enjoy some quality time together because life gets busy as well, doesn't it?
yeah. It definitely does. So
So
yeah, we just wanted to. This is obviously a lot shorter episode than you guys are used to, but I think we didn't want it to be too long because there's no point going into each and every hour of Christmas Day and what, because everybody's Christmas Day is
different,
different.
yeah.
You might not spend it with a big group of family. Like my Christmas Day is quite different. I do it with Jamie's family. I go to his brother's house, and that was actually great for me because it was a bit like a distraction, and we played games. So my evening on Christmas Day was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Um, but had I have been with my sister and some people that had also lost my dad, it might have even been harder
Oh
for
god,
me.
yeah.
So I think you have to just take it as it comes and spend the day how you want.
Yeah, and it might change year by year as well. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? It doesn't have to be the same every year. You can take bits and pieces from the previous Christmases you've loved the most with your loved ones and try and replicate some of that. Equally, you can try and do something completely different as well. Whatever sort of makes you
Go
feel
away.
comfortable. Yeah, going away. Because Christmas isn't just a single day, is it either? I think a lot of
No.
people nowadays will absolutely make the most of the entire festive period, as you should, with your family and stuff. But Christmas Day always used to be a big day for us, but Boxing Day was probably bigger for the party side of it.
Mm.
And we'd always do a massive buffet and there'd be coming out karaoke and drinks until
Oh, I would
crazy
have
o'clock
loved
in the
to have spent
morning.
Christmas with your mum.
It was wild. Anybody that went to one, like I say, unforgettable moments. But yeah, as Shan and I have said, and we're going to try and do the same this year, it's, you know,
The little
love
things.
is constant. It's one of those things that will never sort of go away. And grief, unfortunately, will always be with you, but it's something that I think you've got to try and embrace a little bit more. And that's what I've tried to do sort of this year towards Christmas. I think there's that lovely saying, isn't there, that grief is love with no place to go.
Yeah.
And I always try and think about that when I'm having a really sad day. I think do something nice for mum. Like, what would she want you to do? And it doesn't necessarily have to be for mum. Obviously, it could be for myself because that's what she would have said to me.
Yeah.
And I do think that helps. I do think just thinking about how you can make a day a little bit more bearable is important. And there will be days when you're not feeling up to it as well. So it's just making sure that if Christmas Day doesn't feel right for you, it doesn't matter if it's the 27th to 28th of December that you try and do something a little bit
So
festive.
true. Yeah. I
So
think that what we're probably trying to get at is listen to yourself.
yeah, there's no right or wrong way of celebrating. And some people don't celebrate Christmas at all.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
So
For some people, but I think what can be difficult is seeing other people celebrate Christmas. when you're going
Yeah.
through a difficult time. So take some time off social media as well. I think that's the biggest, which is mad because we have to, we're on
Yeah.
social media all the time at the minute pushing this podcast, but actually take some time off it around the festive period, because I think seeing, although we've obviously said that it doesn't upset us when people talk about their families and stuff like that, sometimes the visuals can be a little bit harder.
Oh,
So
100%. Especially if you're having a really bad day, social media can be a wonderful but also a very dark place. And if you are having a really bad day, the truth is most people post all the good parts on social
yeah.
media, right? So if you've always seen all these happy pictures of people at Christmas and everything looks perfect, they're not going to put on, Christmas Eve that they forgot the roasties or they put the turkey in too long or they've had an argument that day with their spouse. That sort of stuff doesn't get posted. And I think sometimes you can get a bit trapped, can't you, into thinking, oh, everyone's having a fantastic time this Christmas with their
Yeah.
mum or with their dad. And families are hard. Everybody knows Christmas can actually be a really
Yeah,
difficult time as well. So,
exactly. Without the loss of people, it's stressful. You got to buy presents, you've got to do everything. And I think the biggest message I would say to people is, like, me and Laura reflected on it a little bit last episode, but actually for us, when we think about the experiences that we'd had with the people that we've lost, it was never about the presents. It was always
no, it's the
about
people.
spending time with them. So, if you're a mum and you're panicking on the lead up to Christmas and maybe you've not lost somebody, your kids aren't going to remember in 10 years' time whether they got an iPad or not, but they will remember you there, and whether they saw you laughing or enjoying yourself, or you gave them an extra tight cuddle that Christmas if you're not quite feeling up to it. But yeah, I think Jamie put a post on last year that I think was great. He put like a family post on of me, and
Mm.
I think I had like posing with my leg up or something like that. We were joking around on the sofa with like his brother and sister-in-law. And he put a really nice post. Do you remember it? Where
Yeah, I
he
did.
was basically saying, like, just because you see the smiles and people enjoying themselves, like, Christmas has been really hard for Shannon. She spent most of it upset.
And it's a moment in time as well, isn't it? I think, yeah, Christmas can be magical, but it can also be very sad for a lot of people for different reasons as
Yeah.
well. So
I
it's,
think I would have been sad at Christmas anyway last year if my dad hadn't died, because I wouldn't have been speaking to him. So it would have been a difficult Christmas for me
yeah,
anyway. So I think that's sort of, just bear in mind that if somebody is having a bit of a hard time over the Christmas period, don't push them too much, because you don't really know what's going on. But like Jamie said, behind the smiles and all the posed photos on Instagram and Facebook, there's some people having some really hard times. So be nice.
yeah, do you know, it's a really good point that, Shan, because I remember particularly the first Christmas we lost mum. My gran, bless her, and like you say, no parent should ever have to bury their child, and losing mum hit my gran so hard,
Mm,
as many would expect. But at Christmas time, she didn't want to put any decorations up. She didn't at all either, and she loves Christmas, gran. But I didn't push her because I thought she doesn't want to celebrate, and she genuinely didn't. And like we said on a couple of previous episodes, like when Shan said that she didn't want anybody there, I know you well enough to know that you meant that.
yeah.
And it was the same with my gran in that moment. I thought, no, she definitely doesn't. I'm not going to push her to put decorations up. And I remember at the time, my husband's mum, bless her, my mother-in-law said, "Oh, invite your gran round for dinner on Christmas Day," and I said, "That's
Mm.
that's a really lovely offer, and I will, of course, put it forward. But please don't be offended if she says no." And of course, she did say no because she just didn't want to celebrate. But then that broke my heart because I thought, my poor gran, she lives on
Yeah.
her own, and she's going to be sat on her own on Christmas Day. And I remember it got to sort of, I think it was like 3 in the afternoon, and Karen, my husband's mum, had made her a dinner and plated it up. And I was pregnant, standard, because I'm always pregnant. So I think we ended up taking dinner round to my grand's house for her, and she said she didn't want to see anyone or eat
But
anything,
she
but
loved it.
she was so happy to spend a bit of time with us, and we ate dinner with her. She didn't eat it all because again she wasn't really feeling quite up to it. But it's things like that. If you are noticing people are on their own at Christmas because they feel like they don't want to celebrate, it's still worthwhile trying
Yeah.
to help them to sort of enjoy it in some small way. And for her, having a bit of dinner with me and my husband actually probably made her day. But equally, sometimes people genuinely do want to be left on their own. So I suppose it's just trying to figure out what you think is best for the people that you
Yeah.
know the best as well. So
That's it, because like I said, I didn't want any Christmas presents last year, and I know it would have been very difficult for Jamie not to buy me anything, but that's not what I didn't want them. So I think he got me like I love Harry Potter, and he got me like a Lego Dobby to
Yeah.
build on Christmas Day, and actually that was lovely because it gave me something to do. It took my mind off stuff, so that was like a really good present because it meant on the day I spent like an hour and a half just putting together Dobby and not thinking about much else. So yeah, we're gonna end the episode there just because we're going to do another one that talks about just all kind of celebrations, not just Christmas. I know Christmases can be particularly hard, but actually I think I've probably found some other celebrations a little bit harder at times.
Mm.
um so we'll talk about that separately, but have a lovely Christmas and whatever that looks like for you. Send us some questions over. We've obviously changed the day that we're posting. That's because we think a Sunday is probably better to put some of this material out rather than a Friday. But we're planning for next year already. We've got a guest coming on in January, which we're super excited about. So yeah, if you've got any questions or specific episodes you want us to cover, let us know. If you want to be a guest, give us a shout. We'd be more than happy to have a look at that and see what we can do. But yeah, have a beautiful Christmas. Follow and subscribe. This is Laura's job now. Where can they find us, Laura?
It's always a test for this. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify,
YouTube.
YouTube.
No Time to Cry podcast. And we will speak to you all soon.
Yeah, be kind to yourselves. Give
Yes,
yourselves some
definitely.
grace.
See you later.